Hello, this is Quentin. Welcome to the Ranch Systems YouTube channel. Here in this short presentation, I'm going to be talking about sensor placement. Sensor placement is important when considering where your data is coming from so that it has value to you. So we will start with temperature. We'll talk about weather data as well. Temperature is part of that. So here in this graph, you can see that there is two temperatures displayed overlaid on each other here. One of these is down in the canopy, and one of them is well above canopy. And just thinking about frost season, thinking about frost alerts, frost watch, things of that nature, tracking degree days, chill portions, and so on. It's important to know where your data is coming from. So if you only have temperature, in other words, a weather station above canopy, so that you get accurate wind speed, wind direction, and rain bucket information, as well as pyranometer readings, need to be unobstructed by canopy. These numbers may be slightly different than what's actually down in the canopy. So just take note of that. Remember that as you process your data. Here is a photo of a nicely installed weather station. It's well above canopy. Temperature, rain buckets unobscured, wind speed is unobscured, and this will give you good data above canopy. But remember, if you look down here at the bottom, zoom in, it's kind of grainy, but this is also a temp sensor. This gives you more of an in-canopy reading. So just remember that when you're thinking of your weather station and its data, where that data is coming from and how that might affect you. Okay, let's look at some other photos. Here's a photo of the unit. It's installed and the solar panel is being obstructed by canopy. These branches, when the wind blows or when the equipment goes through the trees, it pulls on the cables. This is a dangerous setup. This could cause your unit damage. This is an alternative to installing out in the orchard or the vineyard. You can install this out in an unobscured area, so you have less damage from equipment and you also have unobstructed wind direction, wind speed, and your rain bucket, as well as your solar is clear. It's a good point, but then you need to know, how much is the offset from this temperature to out in the field. This is some of the damage that occurs from being in the field. However, proper marking, communication, and awareness can eliminate this or reduce it quite drastically. Here's another damage picture. Difficult to repair, but we can do that. Now let's talk about what's on the ground. We'll go over here and we'll look at some soil moisture data. This is a year's worth of data, so the granularity is somewhat small, but I will get to a point here. This portion of the graph is a soil moisture probe that is not properly installed. It is in the active root zone, but it is not within the wetting pattern of the irrigation emitter. Here we uninstalled it, reinstalled it properly, and this is good data. Here you can see we start coming into the wintertime and we're reducing our irrigation practices here, but we have another type of graph that displays this very well, and that is called the soil moisture color graph. It's not a graph that we use often, but to display the probe data and show this more clear, I think this is a valuable tool. So we will go over here and show that. Here is the graph. This is displaying soil moisture as color. Here you can see the improper install, which is the same time span across this graph. You can see that it's showing moisture up at the 8-inch mark, and then it gets drier the deeper you go. Same sensor, same irrigation. Now it is active in the water pattern. Here you can see that there is much better moisture penetration, and the sensor is actually showing us good, valuable data now. So going back to the installations, this is an improperly installed soil moisture probe. There's a number of problems here. It is too close to the vine trunk. It isn't close enough to the irrigation drip. So we do not have an accurate data coming from this. It's a small problem, not a big problem, but you may not be getting what you need out of it. Now let's look at this probe. Here you can see the soil probe is installed within the drip edge of the tree. And there's a small note here. The drip edge of the tree also represents the most active root zone, below the soil where you can't see, but that's the most active root zone. Now we have our drip line. It was pulled over and stapled down here so it can't move. We have an emitter here. It's within close proximity of the probe. It's within the active root zone. So now we have a really clear representation of how the soil and the root zone are acting together. Also, small thing to note is the transducer. This is another item that gets abused in standard farming practices. It gets pulled on, drip gets pulled on, especially in our mechanical harvesting equipment. There are brushes, blowers, and things like that that go through here. Sticks drag in this row and damage occurs. A well-secured and protected pressure transducer is within your best interest to get accurate data and reduce damage. So hopefully this was helpful to you. There are other sensors to talk about and other things to consider, but I think this covers the basics. Thank you for watching our channel, and I hope you have a great day.